Lave Radio? It's even louder than me. Hey, wait a minute. That can't be right.
Check 1 2 1 2.
Amid the stars in the sky, humanity expands and thrives as it pushes back the boundaries of the universe. From the luxury of the core systems to the harsh worlds of the frontier, men still fight. Some fight for survival or greed. Some fight for a flag and others for retribution. But across the lonely darkness, they all share one aim: to be elite.
Escape Velocity, an Elite Dangerous audio adventure serial written and produced by Christopher Jarvis. Episode 6, Valiance.
The other ship just rammed them.
Those Vipers pack one hell of a punch.
Are they down?
According to the scanner, the Viper is drifting. It's powerless.
And the Constrictor? Camilla?
It's a big wreck, but... no. There's a hole punched right through it.
Any ramrock alarms?
No. Anybody on board must be dead by now. There's a single escape pod in the wreckage.
Not our problem. Let's get out of here. Let's go and find your father.
Lorand, come in. Lorand, are you there? Please respond.
Agent 39? Is that you?
You're alive. And oh, thank you not to call me 39.
Sorry, I used to call you Dallas. That's right.
I couldn't get in contact with your ship. I flew up here in my Viper and searched the battle wreck. Your flight recorder was being difficult, to say the least.
What happened?
It looks like you rammed Camilla's ship. Smashed it to pieces.
I am your dark shadow.
That's right. You tried to fulfill your purpose. It's exciting. How do you feel?
What do you mean, tried?
Camilla got away. Records indicate there was an escape pod that got cargo scooped by a local trader. Minutes after that, the ship left the system. I'd be prepared to take a good guess what happened.
I have to go after her.
What about May? What about recovering the prototype?
She'll have to wait. You don't know what it's like, Dallas. Now that I've seen my guiding light, I have to share my darkness.
Spoken like a true believer.
All I'm saying is, if you could just drop me off at the nearest starport, I'd be very appreciative.
Nothing doing. Those creeps were after May for some reason. The first priority is getting her back to her father.
You've changed your tune. I thought you wanted to get away from all of us for a quiet life.
That's as maybe, but those guys gave me chills. Whatever they want May for, it isn't going to be good.
How so?
I don't know. I think they wanted to kill her.
How can you be sure of that?
They didn't want the other feds to know what they were doing. If they were officially working for the Federation, they could have swung some sort of prisoner transport. They wanted me to hand her over on the sly. That doesn't sound right.
What doesn't sound right?
The final of the women's interplanetary wrestling. They're using 25% less Lavian grub lube. I think they're making it too easy.
Huh. Gross. So, Thane, are we there yet?
We're in the system and heading towards the 11th planet, but I'm not convinced we're going to find anything.
I hope you're right about your father being able to help us, sweetheart. We're taking a hell of a risk coming to this system.
What's wrong with Facis? It's my home.
It's also the home of the Imperial Navy. Not people I want to be meeting today, thank you. If you were heading to one of the inner planets, I'd already be loading myself into the airlock.
What exactly does your father do, May?
I told you, he's an Imperial Senator. I'm not sure about his actual job. He tours around the systems in a big destroyer, delivering speeches.
Well, that might explain a few things. There's nothing at the 11th planet. No orbital stations, no gas platforms. I am getting a large mass register, though.
That'll be my father's ship. I'm from Topaz originally, but I feel like I've lived half my life on that ship.
And you want us to just fly up to an Imperial destroyer?
It'll be fine. Once I give my father's name, we'll get docking clearance and I can sort all of this out.
Tobias Havelock, eh? Can't say I've heard of him.
You're from the sticks. You haven't heard of anyone. I think I've heard of him. Can't quite remember where, though.
Incoming communication.
Open a channel.
Welcome, visitors, to the I&D Valiance. Your ship has been cleared for docking in Bay 1. Please fly carefully along the central boulevard and follow the disembarkation instructions.
That was strangely easy.
I told you, it's not used for fighting. It's my father's diplomatic figurehead.
Let's hope they don't have diplomatic defences.
Where are you, you son of a spacer? Oh, the I&D Valiance. Going on a little trip down memory lane, are we? Don't think you can hide from me in there, Thane. I'm coming for you.
Welcome, pilot of EV-223. 3, escape velocity to the Imperial Navy destroyer Valiance. Please be aware that photography is not permitted.
Oh, it's cold here. Witching cold.
So where is everybody?
I was just thinking that. Something's coming.
It's just a service robot.
Greetings, visitors, and welcome to the IND Valiance. Do you require any beverages? Can I take your litter?
Mate?
I'd like an ice crush, please. Pineapple.
I'm sorry. Drink stocks are currently offline. Can I help you with anything else?
Robot, where is everybody?
I'm sorry, but I'm not programmed to service that request. Can I help you with anything else?
We're looking for somebody.
Service personnel locations can be accessed via the wall plates. If you would like a tour, please request a guide drone from the wall terminal.
Well, he was a lot of use.
Computer, show me the current location for Senator Tobias Havelock.
Senator Havelock is in the hydroponic park, Deck 4. Would you like a tour drone?
Yes, please.
Drone stock depleted.
So something else is out of stock.
Please follow the courtesy green arrows I have illuminated for you on the deck floor.
Is it me? Or does this place feel like a ghost ship?
There's something else odd here. According to the displays, the ship's engines are offline and the orbit is decaying. The Valiant is slowly falling into the planet below.
Oh no, I have to warn Father. How long have we got?
About 6 years. It's a pretty slow decay.
What is going on here?
Look, my father will explain everything.
He'd better, kid.
Come on. Come on, he's this way.
Now, this is a very nice hydroponic park. I've been thinking I should add a self-sustaining thing like this to my underground complex. It'd brighten it right up.
Yeah, it's nice, but what's the Senator doing hiding away in a park on an abandoned destroyer?
He should be right here. Oh.
It's just a statue.
Ugh, computers. I asked it for my father and it directed me to a statue of him instead. What's that?
Motion-activated system. Look out!
Welcome to the IND Valiance Memorial Garden, planted in honour of Imperial Senator Tobias Havelock. Born in 3140, he served the Empire diligently until his death in 3216.
What?
Senator Havelock was a champion of the Imperial way of life, staunch proponent of military strategy and advocate of the enhancement program, a bill that ensures all Imperial troops are more combat effective than their counterparts in the Federation or independent worlds. His is a tragic loss to the Empire, and one which is remembered here on the IND Valiance for all to consider and reflect as they enjoy this beautiful park.
This is an epitaph ship.
He must have been a big noise to get a ship like this as his headstone.
May, what is it?
It's a prank. A stupid prank. My father isn't dead.
Well, that's great. How can you be sure?
Look at the date, silly. 3216. One of his staff must be playing a joke. He'll be very angry. My father doesn't have much of a sense of humour.
What's wrong with the date?
Well, it hasn't happened yet, of course.
I'm pretty sure it has.
Oh, don't be stupid.
May, what year do you think it is?
Come on. It's the first year of the new century, isn't it? 3200.
Oh dear.
May, the year is 3248, and your father has been dead for over 30 years.
But that's impossible.
And you're only, what, 14, 15?
But I remember living with him in our home on Topaz, only last year. What does this mean?
That isn't the question. The question is, kid, where have you been for the last 50 years?
No. The question is, how much of you can I cut off before you lose consciousness?
Camilla, you survived.
Oh, I find a purpose keeps a girl alive. And now I'm gonna make you pay for double-crossing me.
How many times? I wasn't trying to double-cross you. Your robots got destroyed in battle, and I was trying to replace them so I could make good on the shipment.
You opened them?
Well, I had to know what to replace.
And they weren't robots anyway, just life support systems for a person.
Oh, Kurlik, you idiot.
So you took a good look at them, huh?
I...
Good job, I'm gonna kill you all anyway, then. You know, do you never consider that the inside of a person's shipment is private? It's very rude. The inside of a shipping container is like the inside of a girl's heart. Which is funny, because now I'm gonna open up the inside of your heart. Who's there?
I'm here for you, Alpha 23.
Where are you? I can't see you.
That's because I'm a shadow. I'm your shadow. You are the light, and you cannot see me because I am your darkness.
What are you, some kind of religious nut? Leave me alone so I can torture and kill these three in peace and quiet. Ah! Oh, my gun! You shot it out of my hand! Oh, my hand is gone! You blew off my hand! Do you have any idea how much it costs to get a new one grown?
And Thane and May as well. How convenient. You should have given her up, Thane.
I didn't like your face.
You didn't tell me about this.
And you, the prototype. It's such a shame you don't know what you are.
What?
But then, I'm almost envious of the journey of discovery that is ahead of you.
You're not going to kill me?
I was, until I met her.
Me? What did I do?
From the moment I heard your voice, I knew my purpose. My soul was filled with a longing to meet with you and join with you.
Okay, kinky. But shooting my hand off isn't a way to impress a girl.
What are you doing?
Finishing a job the Imperial Navy started. They were supposed to get rid of this ship, but it looks like the engines dropped offline. Now I need to get rid of all this evidence, so I'm going to restart the engines and drop this ship into the gas giant below.
Why did the Navy want to get rid of my father's ship?
Because Daddy was an embarrassment. Imagine that. The Empire sets up a huge orbital testimony to the Great Senator, and the Federation intelligence let slip to them what he was really up to. They couldn't get rid of this floating hall of shame quickly enough.
My father was a traitor.
Oh, that doesn't even begin to do justice to describe our father.
Our?
That's right, my dear, sweet, beautiful sister.
Sister? And that's why you won't kill me?
No. I won't kill you because I want you to feel this purpose that I feel in the presence of Alpha 23, my own personal guiding light.
I'm a what now?
You are everything to me, Camilla. You are my beginning and my end. You are my light. I must touch you, that I may share my darkness with you.
Hey, what are you doing? Get off me! Stop touching me!
Genetic identity confirmed. Subject is Alpha 23. Activating weapon.
There's some kind of gas coming out of her mouth.
Oh, help! Help me! Help!
Oh my god!
Help!
That is disgusting. She's melting.
They're both melting. Oh, quick, let's get out of here before that gas reaches us.
But...
No time! Run!
What's happening?
Lorand started up the engines again. The ship is resuming its course back into the gas giant.
Well, how long have we got?
Not long enough to stand here and work it out. We have to get back to my ship as fast as we can.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Come on, May!
I don't understand. What does it mean? Who am I?
This isn't the time for that, May. We have to go.
What's the point?
The point is we have to live. Survive first, questions later. That's how it works out here. Come on.
Okay.
Which way?
Bay 1 was this way, I think.
Should we try to grab Camilla or Lorand's ship?
We need to grab whatever ship we get to first. I don't think we've got time to be choosing.
Right you are.
Space. It sounds like the planet's coming in on us.
It's just the hull buckling. Don't worry, we won't crash. It's more likely that the bulkhead will crack and we'll be sucked down into space before that.
You're a real comfort, thanks.
Or maybe the pressure of the gas drive will crush us.
Yeah, great. Come on, May, we've got to keep moving.
Bay 1 access. Please confirm identity. Incorrect identity.
What's wrong?
Oh, my hands are shaking. I input the wrong code.
Bay 1 access. Please confirm identity. Welcome back, Commander Thane.
Let's go. Kurlik, can you take May down to the cargo bay? She's barely conscious. I need you to secure her so she doesn't get hurt.
Right, sir.
Come on, faster. God, it's falling into the planet. We made it. We got away.
Great.
Are you okay? Did I ever tell you why I called my ship Escape Velocity?
No.
I grew up on a frontier system. The dream out there is to work hard and make more living space in the universe. We all dream of taking our own little dust ball of a planet and turning it into a New Caledonia or Capitol or even Earth. But somewhere along the line, that dream never reaches orbit. You struggle away, trading goods, breaking asteroids, trying to stay alive amid the pirates, the greedy corporations, and dirty cops. One day, I was watching a Panther Clipper take off, and I thought about the amount of power that ship had to have just to break free of the gravity of the planet below. And I thought about my life. I knew that I didn't have the power or will to generate enough escape velocity to leave my old life behind. Something or someone would always drag me back down to ground. Until one day, I decided that if I let go of the things I already had, I could maybe make a new life in the core, where I believed things would be better on my own. I'm not saying my idea was right, but I am saying that where I've come from and the things I've done are only a prelude to my life ahead. Maybe my past does define who I am, but it doesn't limit what I can be if I just choose to break free of it.
I don't even know where I've come from.
We can figure that out, if it's what you want.
Just leave me alone.
We have to run. It's the only option.
Run where exactly?
To the frontier.
I told you I can't go about there. There's a price on my head.
I'm not exactly a free man there either. I'm as unhappy about this as you are.
Where do you think we should go? We could head out to the Eastern Rim.
I don't want to risk travelling further into Imperial space, and we'd have to go through that to get to the Eastern frontier. If I had the choice, I'd rather go somewhere I may still have some allies.
I'm all out of allies in the independent systems.
I have some I left behind. I can take you to my home, and there may be people who can protect you and May.
What about you?
I seem to have enemies in the Federation, the Empire, and the Independents now. Maybe I can find someone who can forge me a new identity. Or maybe once you and May are safe, I can lease a mining rig and disappear beyond the frontier.
It's a long trip.
And we can't make it in just this ship. Not as it's currently configured. The life support systems are already under strain with 3 of us on board. So we trade. We sneak into systems we can land without getting arrested. We take on deliveries and trade runs as best we can, try and upgrade the ship.
We'll be taking a big risk.
We're out of risk-free options, I think.
What about her?
I don't know. Since the statue, the life seems to have gone out of her. She's just sat in the cargo bay, staring out at the stars.
May?
Oh no!
May, you listening?
No, stop!
You have to concentrate, May.
I don't want to listen.
You have to finish your lessons. May?
It's out of my head!
In the final episode of Escape Velocity, Amy Timms played May, Christopher Jarvis Thane, Rebecca Keeves Lorand, and Liam Macaulay Dallas. Janet Westwood Wilson played Camilla, Alan Wales played Kurlek, and Jane Beswarwick played the Valiant's computer, with Anthony Wilkes as the service robot. Escape Velocity is a work of fan fiction, written and produced by Christopher Jarvis, with additional music by Alan Stroud, and is a Radio Theatre Workshop production for laveradio.com. Elite Dangerous is copyright Frontier Developments. To find out more, please visit escapevelocity.laveradio.com.
You've flown ships at max speed. You've felt the power of the 30-megawatt mining laser. You've experienced the efficiency of the MB4 mining machine.
Wow.
But it leaves every hardcore miner with just one question.
Why can't I get a shave that's that fast, close, and efficient?
Introducing the Saracen MB5 shaving drone.
It's so smooth.
Combining the power of a mining laser with the convenience of a drone.
It's like every hair is targeted by a fighter and destroyed.
Saracen's patented shaving drone attaches to your face at the start of the day. Leave it to do its work, and when you come back to check, your face is shaved.
He's so smooth.
It's like I'm mining my face.
The Saracen MB5 shaving drone.
Now I feel manly.
Saracen Shaving, making shaving an unnecessary adventure.
Wheels turn slow on this lumpy old moon. The night is clear, but I'm lost in the gloom. Some inspiration, a satellite with high-grade data. But oh, it seems that Jesus ain't smiling at me. My scanner bloods, the lines go thick. Am I living in a dream? No outcrops, no mesocyte. I think I found those three metallic meteors. 1, 2, 3. Let me pop those meteors. Let's just see. The hours go by. I hold my stomach as over the ditches we fly. I need to find just 3 materials, then I'll sleep, I'm promising myself. But oh, it seems the RNG Jesus ain't smiling at me. My scanner floods, the lines go thick. Am I living in a dream? No outcrops, no metal siderite. I think I found those three metallic meteors. 1, 2, 3. Let me pop those meteors. Let's just see.
Hello and welcome to Lave Radio.
Greetings and welcome to Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders.
Greetings, Commanders.
The show that talks about the universe of Elite.
And the development of the computer game Elite 4, known as Elite Dangerous.
And the fantastic
community that surrounds it.
Broadcast from an orange Sidewinder and hosted by a vending machine technician.
A place of nonsense and innuendo for forum dads.
A self-contained podcast 2 hours long.
Transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
It's even louder than me.
The hottest show this side of Dizzo.
The name of the place.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Have we lost Colin already?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Right. Well, no one told me to go live. But anyway,
yeah,
greetings.
Chris said Mike's alive about 20 seconds ago now.
I didn't hear that.
Okay.
Okay,
Colin, Mike's alive.
Mike's alive.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
Colin.
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 412 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix of Fire, otherwise known as Colin Ford, Chief Archivist of Lave Station. And joining me in the Orange Sidewinder bar for this episode, we have our Head of Health and Safety, that's Commander Edelweiss.
Beep, beep, beep. The time sponsored by Accurist is 2033.
Full on sarcasm. We also have our Staff Liaison Officer, Commander Psychic.
Do people still call the speaking clock? That's wild
I
to me. I wonder if it still exists. I don't have a landline, so I wouldn't be able to check.
I don't have a landline either. I can't check. Alec will have a landline. He's in the Steam Age still.
I've got a landline.
And that is, of course, our apprentice stunt driver, Commander Alec Turner.
Hello, everyone. I still haven't found an amusing way to sign in yet, but I will. I'll need to get a catchphrase.
Yes, you need to. Crashing in like Richard Hammond. Also joining us, bear with me for this one, we have our guest, who is a hacker in chief. Crew member RFVGYNH, or maybe I should call him Mixoplislic. Hello, Commander. How do we be?
Dwide Schrude.
There you go.
Refugen. I don't know. It's down, up, down on the keyboard.
It does sound as if you've had a cat roll on your keyboard, and that's your commander name.
That's pretty much it.
Ah, right. So much for that then. Well, if you wish, you can join us live. Ben is heading towards Lave Station as we speak, and I do believe the Chris Mark IV and Commander Ventura are already at Lave Station. But if you can't get to us in game, you can also join the Twitch chat channel, which you can access through laveradio.com/live. Click on the live chat, or go to twitch.tv/Lave Radio, or go to Facebook, look up Lave Radio, or Twitter, look up Lave Radio, or even like and subscribe us on YouTube. I'm even doing finger guns as I said that, which is just wrong. Anyway, we will go around the crew and see what they've been up to for the last week or so. So let's hope we've got better news from Commander Psykid.
Yeah, no, nothing. No, nothing. The NHS is incredibly slow. I don't know if we've mentioned this before. The NHS for non-life-threatening situations is incredibly slow, and pains in hands on it, like new pains in hands aren't exactly life-threatening. However, I have an X-ray tomorrow, and I have blood tests on Monday. So maybe in about a month's time, I might have some answers. Who knows? I'm despite all of that, I'm relatively positive. I've been playing a lot of Overwatch, a lot of the new Overwatch. I'm really enjoying it. I know it's pretty divisive for some people, but I've been really enjoying getting back into it and that kind of thing. Still like doing a lot of FPS in my spare time, which feels better for my hand than playing with a hostess does. So I could move to like a feet only commander for a little bit, but then it's all of the Apex traveling, and I'm sure you'd appreciate, Colin, all that being in an adder. But yeah, it's a good I other than that, I haven't really been doing much. We've been looking at kitchen stuff, like house stuff, but nothing super exciting. But I have been doing stuff for Psychic House Your Abysmal, which I'm not gonna spoil, but I'm very excited about that being a thing. Yeah, but that's about it. Just busy like resting.
Good. We think you should rest. I think it's only fair that you should rest. Okay, Ben, what have you been up to?
So yeah, last week I was away doing family stuff and things like that, and that was all fine and dandy. And then I returned back to reality and got a little prick in one arm, and then I was told they're doing a buy one get one free, and I got a little prick in the other arm as well, by some lovely gentleman, offering me both COVID and the flu jab. So, yay, I guess.
Yeah, did your arms work much after that for a day or so?
My arms seem to be fine. I do have if I do something stupid like punch myself where I got injected on my COVID arm, then I was like, that hurts. I shouldn't do that. But apart from that, it's fine.
That's nice to know.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. Otherwise, game wise, been playing some Elite. I was doing some war zones the other day.
Yeah, that turned out well.
Yeah, it was good for you and I. Just not so good for not so good for Sir Canadian.
Yes, that was that. Yeah, there was quite a few problems with the
with the networking.
with the networking.
And then in the other space game, I've been collecting various spooky masks by going around various spooky places and fun things like that. But that's been it's been fun, sort of going off exploring, looking for spooky things.
So basically, you've turned into Scooby-Doo, effectively.
It's essentially, yeah. I mean, I've got a lovely. So in Elite, how we've got the snowman helmet.
Yes.
So in the other space in the other space game in inverted commas, I've got a helmet which basically looks like I've got a parasite growing out of my helmet where my eye should be.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
It's absolutely charming. I've got a couple of horror masks and a aggressive-looking alien kind of mask. But you know that's fun, and if it were a real game and things didn't get wiped every couple of months, then they'd be mine to keep. But as it is, they may or may not be mine to keep, depending on how we're not going to wipe and delete everything on us goes.
Yeah, I remember that, and that happened in Elite.
Yeah. So we'll
Not
see
that
how
I'm
that
so
all
bitter
goes.
about it.
Yeah, they say they're not going to delete these special masks that you go and look for, but as with everything in development these days, I will believe it when I see it.
Fair enough. Okay, Alec.
Oh, sorry, I was just about to put a biscuit in my mouth, but I'll take it back out again. Hello, good evening. What have I been up to? I've fixed my underfloor heating by swapping 2 wires around, so I'm feeling quite smug about that. Although equally annoyed that the guy I paid an awful lot of money to wired it up the wrong way around. In game, I am still at this planet 8,000 light years from the bubble with this marvelous ice wall. I don't know if people have seen this, but yeah. A couple of weeks ago, this guy Mard Dante Soloist found this fantastic ice wall. Someone described it as ice Mordor, which is a brilliant description.
Mhm.
If you imagine how Mordor is depicted on the Middle Earth maps, it's this slightly.
You've got those three barriers basically.
Well, I always found it slightly unbelievable, really, because it doesn't look very organic. It's like a sort of square box in the top right-hand corner, and the entire land is surrounded by these sort of natural mountains that wall it in, but it always looked a bit rectangular for my liking. Anyway, this guy's discovered this fantastic ice formation, which is about 50 kilometers across, I think. It's slightly wider than it is tall. Big ice wall all the way around it, which you can just about drive along the top of. And I have been mapping out a rally course.
So this is sounding like a new Permastridge challenge kind of idea, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's exactly so. It's a very different sort of challenge, but I've managed to, fun enough, using the SRV tracker tool we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, I've been marking waypoints for a nice rally circuit all the way around the inside of this wall, which I just finished today, and it's fab. And I can drive around it in about 40 minutes, so it's quite a biggie. It's a 100-kilometer lap. And yeah, I'm not sure if I can persuade anyone to travel 8,000 light years to come and race with me, but it's jolly good fun. And other than that, I've been trying to get involved in stellar screenshots, but it's very difficult when you're in a very pretty, well-lit, icy planet in a pink SRV. But I've managed to carve an SRV using SRV tire tracks. So not a pumpkin.
Yes, and all of a sudden, I've got a strange feeling that a lot of people are going to start their own competition to drive to make their own shapes now.
I hope so. SRV tire track art is seriously underrated.
Yeah, I know, but we know some of the people in the Elite Dangerous community, and I'm sure it'll all be tasteful and artistic.
Really? I'm expecting everyone to draw cocks and balls, but there you go.
There we go. I was being subtle about that, but never mind.
I thought I'd break the ice.
Who's drawing an SRV route? Nothing subtle. It's beautiful. It's artwork.
Is that what the SRV route's going to be? You've got to follow this.
Path, isn't it?
Basically,
it's like join the dots. You don't know what it's going to be until you've drawn it, and then you regret drawing it.
It's always the cock and balls.
Yeah.
Apparently,
let's face it. If it's good enough for the Mars rover, it's good enough for us.
Oh, are you telling me someone's done that to the Mars rover?
Did you not see that?
No, I knew that the American Air Force and the RAF are currently in a competition to see who can do the biggest one in the sky. Using the tail, using smoke from the back of the fighter jets. So even though they've been told not to, they keep on doing it apparently. And that's killed that conversation. Anything else you've been up to lately, Alec?
No, that's it. Just pottering around Ice Mordor for a week.
Right. Well, let's see. What have I been up to? We've had a little bit of. Well, obviously, I've been playing a lot of Elite Dangerous over the weekend. Thanks for everybody joining me on the streams. And yeah, we had a little bit of a hoo-ha last night trying to do combat zones, which was certainly fun. But I've been actually really getting into the retro. I've been playing Frontier First Encounters, and then I had this horrible epiphany, which I've run past everybody in the forums, that the fact that due to the fact in the old game, your commander, it was started in 2250, when you make a jump, you lost a week in real time. And there's some debate to whether or not you lose a week, whether or not you're flying to the ship, to the base or not. And it just worked out that that would mean that the commander who started in Frontier First Encounters, in their physical age, they'd only be 36 about now, just due to all the time dilation. And that just really blew my mind. So I'm now I'm now putting a bit of time aside to play Frontier First Encounters to see whether or not I can play it for long enough so that I'm in 3308 in that game, which is the same time period which this game's supposed to be set in. Weird, eh?
I like it. I saw somebody suggesting that was it called the Dreamer, the Star Dreamer?
Yeah, the Star Dreamer. Basically,
it only made you feel like time hadn't passed, but that physically it had. Is there any validity to that claim?
Well, you see, this is the thing. It was a little bit of it was a bit of jiggery pokery to get there, to make sure you weren't there for days waiting for.
Was it hand waving? Was there not a proper scientific proof to go with it?
There wasn't a proper scientific proof. Some of the unofficial fiction had you basically being put into frozen, but other people have said no. It's like this sort of hypnotic state that you enter, that you only wake up from. But even then, with the use of progenitor cells and the advanced technology, your character that you started then would probably be about 90, and that seems to be about middle age for Elite Dangerous. Anyway, it's amazing what keeps you up at night when you think about these things. Right, we shall introduce our guest. Oh, this is going to be fun. Which sounds like somebody's saying something backwards. Have you watched Twin Peaks at all? Because it certainly feels like it. How have you been for the last week or so?
I've been great. I'll mention this Elite Dangerous stuff you're doing. I haven't played since just before the Proteus wave. I was wondering, I was docked on the Musashi, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Is that ship still there? Is all my stuff gone? Have I been obliterated?
Actually, I
think it might not be there anymore, is it?
Oh, hang on. Which one was that? Was that the one in the HIP?
That was the one that was in HIP 22460.
Well, it's just.
I think I just turned in my combat bonds or whatever, and then maybe logged off.
Well, what'll have happened? You will probably wake up next to the wreck of the ship, and good luck dealing with the Thargoids.
Yeah, I was wondering if I'm still alive, am I going to be able to get out of there?
You should be okay if you're fast.
I have a chieftain, but it's a terrible jump range, so I'm wondering how many jumps it's going to take me to get out of the range.
Oh, well, that'll be interesting. As long as you jump out of the system, I think that'll be fine.
Oh. Other than that, I just got into Escape from Tarkov with a friend, and I am absolutely terrible at that. Pretty fun though.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that. I don't think I've played that one, but I've heard good things about it.
Escape from what?
Tarkov.
Escape from Tarkov. Have you not heard of it?
It's
good. No, I haven't actually.
I'm googling it as we speak.
Hang on. It's a realistic online for
Yeah,
online
yeah.
first-person
It's not
shooter.
for you,
well,
Colin.
there
I'm
you
not
go.
gonna lie. It's definitely not for you. But it is one of the. It's like a looter shooter PvEVP. Kind of thing. You go in, you loot as much as you can. You get to a extraction point, you extract, you go back in. You can go in as a team, you can go in as a single player. You have there's not a lot of like on screen indicators of people as well. It gives it a bit more realism. It's fun to watch, but it's clearly a very high skill game.
So basically,
It's quite complicated.
As soon as you said looter shooter, I thought, oh, okay, right, fine, okay, I'll leave you to it.
So, but it's more realistic than say Borderlands, which is what I would call Borderlands. To me, is like the ultimate looter shooter, but it's not like that at all, really.
Yeah, there's big consequences. If you die, you actually lose all of your stuff.
Yeah.
So it makes firefights pretty intense.
Yep.
Excellent. Right.
There's Alec. I thought no.
Oh,
Sorry,
it's
I'm
Alec.
getting distracted by Chris.
Not me. Yeah, I'm not in game at the moment.
Right, fine. As usual, very useful for the podcast listeners, that. On Wednesday the 5th, let's talk about development news. So what's been happening this week? Well, there's not been much because they've been, as they have been telling us, they are getting ready for the November update. On Wednesday the 5th, we had Frameshift Live number 18 with Bruce and Arsp. And on top of the usual malarkey, we also had Tom, one of the... what's Tom's title again?
Senior designer, I believe.
There we go, senior designer. And he was discussing, or basically telling us, he took us through the creation, what was involved with the creation of the the on-foot tutorial, which, I thought it was quite interesting, where, if you decided to go off the beaten track, they'd have people nagging you in your ear to come out and do something else. I found that one quite good. There was the usual stuff about stellar screenshots and, going over the news and, of course, new Twitch drops that they have to repeat all the time. But, it's... I did see the usual complaints about the fact, are you going to play the game now? And I'm there thinking, you lot all wanted devs and insight and looking into how the sausage was made, and now that you've got that, you want to go back to the old way? No, I think I prefer this. Psychic, what did you think?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was chaos. I thought it was utter chaos until they started Tom's interview, because Tom's interview was clearly pre-recorded and Arthur had nothing to do with it. And Tom's interview, very much like Darren, I could listen to Tom talk about Elite Dangerous for hours. I'm in a very lucky position to say that I have listened to Tom talk and Darren talk about Elite Dangerous for hours, and it is they are just as passionate as IRL as they come across on the Frameshift live streams. It's fantastic.
Yeah. What did you think to the scratch pad program that he was demonstrating as well? Because there was, I just caught bits of it, and I saw a scratch pad and basically some coding with some Elite Dangerous ships on it, and I thought, oh, hang on, but I haven't been able to catch up with that bit yet.
Yeah, so basically that was like an integration with schools kind of thing, or like a learning thing that they were doing. Please correct me if I'm wrong, anyone else jump in. But they created this program using assets that somebody else had, like fan-made assets of these top-down pixelated ships, and of like a very simple side-scroller shooty game could be made using those assets and everything. It looked really cool.
Excellent. Yeah, that's. I mean, I tried to teach my son how to program using that thing, but yeah, less said about that attempt, the better. Ben, what did you think to the Discovery Scanner? Sorry, the Frameshift lab, rather.
I was looking after children at the time.
Ah, fair enough.
Although I will say to Psycho Cow, no, Grant, you're a poopy head.
Oh, okay. Right, yes. So there's obviously something going on there. Hello to Psycho Cow if you're in the chat somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, the next thing, Alec, yes.
I loved it, by the way. Frameshift Live, I really liked it. I thought Tom's interview was brilliant. What I really like about stuff like that is so often I think we, particularly if you get sucked into, these worlds of the forums and things, it's so easy to sort of think, oh, why don't they just do this, or why don't they just do that, and all these little things that seem so easy. And to hear Tom talk in such detail about something as relatively simple as a tutorial, let alone the complexities of the actual live game, I just find it a really good reminder of just how much goes into it. Talking about sight lines of things and talking about not revealing the SRV too soon and presenting things in the right order and making sure the panel drops off, and it's just fascinating. And I think it's a really valuable thing for these live streams to do, to just remind us just how much detail is in the game and just how much stuff they have put in the game. And I think it's really important actually to be reminded of these things.
Excellent. Commander Dwight, did you manage to catch the live stream?
Dwide, Colin, not Dwight.
That's what I said.
You said Dwight.
Oh, I do apologise. Dwight.
That's okay. I called him Dwight as well. I was like, no, it's Dwight.
So it's based off the Dwight Schrude character in The Office. No, I didn't catch it.
All right, fair enough then. Well, I think we'll move on from there to the Discovery Scanner. That came out on Monday. They have mentioned that there is now a known issue around the combat bonds not being counted properly in multi-crew sessions, so they wanted us to be aware of that. They also wanted us to be aware of there'll be a postponement of the very sarcastic Galnet News Roundup that they do. This is mostly due to Paul being away on holiday for the month, and apparently no one can match his wit and biting sarcasm well enough to write the news.
Does anyone else find it suspicious that Paul goes on holiday just in the run-up to Halloween?
Oh yeah, he has to do his annual pilgrimage to make sure that his phylactery is still in the same place.
Okay. But apart from that, there was some talk about the CG, which I guess we could. Has that CG been actually completed yet? Because I thought about joining in, but
no, it's still going. It's still going. You can see. When I checked in Nara earlier, it said like 81, a prediction of like 81% complete. It was a rather hefty goal, so 81 is still pretty good.
And yeah, the thing about that CG is that you've got to get in the top 75% in order to get the reward, which in this case is an extra capacity heatsink, which when you're fighting Thargoids, those things are quite useful. I think it does feel to me like it's like the qualify session in the F1. Basically, you've got to get to the 75%, and I think it'd start too late to be able to get up and get it. So, oh yes, they are now going to introduce stellar scream shots. See what they did there? Yeah. So if you manage to come up with a spooky picture, you will get a different type of a paint job, which looks like a pumpkin on your Arsp, which probably sounds a lot ruder than I actually meant it to be. And speaking of spooky, they have decided that there's going to be a Halloween special. This will be the live stream on Thursday, the 20th of October, between 4 and 6, which will be available. Well, when they'll be doing it, it will include special spooky Twitch drops, themed in-game prizes, and community games. So get your scare on for that, I guess. I can't think of anything funny to say about that. Any suggestions?
Did you say that you were getting either skin in for the screenshot stuff? Because you're getting both, just to clarify.
Oh, you get both?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you get your standard Arsp prize, and you get the other Arsp prize.
Mm-hmm. The really cool one, which looks like a pumpkin. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many screenshots going on Twitter.
Oh dear! Does somebody actually want it then?
It's almost as if these are sought after.
Well, that'll be fun for Paul when he gets back, won't it?
Probably
Anyway,
by the time we get the the pumpkin skins, it'll be too late to deploy them. It'll be like November, and everyone will be into fireworks. We'll have to save them until next year.
Well, oh yeah, and they did mention that as a new season is upon us, there are new Twitch drops. So yay! Now, just quickly, we'll go through the in-game events which have been happening this week. Now, this is quite an eventful week. Operation Tynaris reacts to the Thargoid fleet. Basically, the Thargoid fleet has retreated for the moment, and I guess we're waiting for the next one. There was also defeat for the true chapters in the CG between the Cult of the Thargoid and the Federation. Not really much of a surprise there. The Thargoid's megaship is now under federal control, and the other two megaships they controlled have both run away. In fact, I don't even know where they are at the moment. Azimuth have claimed that they can help D2. Now, last week, you'll recall, we got breaking news that D2 had gate crashed the Aegis conference, and basically the Professor Trevor, I've lost her name again.
That's right.
That's the one. She has taken D2 under her wing and put her under protection, even though Azimuth are claiming that they're the only ones that can help her. Now, something interesting happened on Friday. There were 2 more Stargoids detected. There does appear to be a vast amount more memes of a fictional emperor has now appeared on the extranet. However, the existing current 3 Stargoids seem to be, if they keep their present course and speed, 2 of those will intersect at Sol in 60 days. So, yes, looks like they're coming in. Did we get the name of the pilot who managed to detect the 2 new Stargoids?
There is a tweet.
Yeah.
By all means, though, talk amongst yourselves because you're dead air.
We were just holding on for anticipation. Well, while Psychic does the exciting thing of looking up Google while broadcasting, on the 10th of October, Vice President or Shadow President Winters has now condemned the oppression of the Thargoid cult, saying that these people needed to be investigated to see whether they were actually doing what the government was claiming they were doing, i.e. handing classified information to foreign to the Thargoids, and she wants to see what what evidence they actually have got, because it seems like they're a very convenient scapegoat. It's Commander Mercury spotted that there are now 5 excess signals using the new. Obviously, there must be the new FSS scanner settings came into play for that. Alec.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask actually on the new FSS. Is there, have there, after a week or so now, have identifiable changes been spotted? Do people know what the change is?
Well, apparently, you can detect the Thargoids from anywhere, these Stargoids from anywhere, and someone's worked out there's actually 5 of them by the fact that he was getting 5 different signals across the FSS.
Okay. Do we think they've just kind of boosted it a little bit so it's a bit more noticeable and doesn't sound like there's a key change as such, but
Yeah. I mean, I've yet to actually investigate how you use the FSS to do this, so it's my homework. Winters had condemned the oppression of the Thargoid cult. She thinks that it's just Hudson taking advantage of a religious group that he can basically oppress and feel good about himself. And finally, today, surprisingly enough, Subject D2 rejected Azimuth's offer for medical assistance. Azimuth have claimed that only they know how to fix her. However, the professor herself has turned around and said, well, actually, she's got extensive wetware cybernetics into her wired into her brain at the moment, and they're investigating that wetware with her permission, D2's permission. So we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. So that's quite an interesting week. Psychic, have you got any thoughts on what's been happening?
I really enjoyed today's. Today's was really cool. There's like really, it's not super subtle because we pick up on stuff now, especially with Galnet. We pour through these and try and pick up like little bits and pieces, but it's really, really telling in the language that Tessera uses when talking about Sojourner, then the opinions of I want to say Raidenbacker or Tordenback, one of the two, the Azimuth lad who's next on my list. He will constantly Torben Raidmaker or Rademacher, whatever way you want to pronounce it. I've never seen him refer to Subject D2 as Sojourner. It is always D2.
Yeah, it's always a catalogue.
She is always an asset to them. They're not looking at the person, and I think it's a really, really nice way to throw in. Hey, remember how Azimuth was saying we're not all the bad guys? Hey, this lad here still not particularly nice and doesn't really value human life, and I quite like. I like the way that they're certainly throwing that in there.
Yeah, I think we'll be hearing a lot more of him as things go forward. I did find it quite chilling to say she knows what's coming and there's not much we're going to be able to do about it, which that was is ominous with the Stargoids coming down. Alec.
Yeah, sorry, just slight sidetrack because with Psychic's description of that last article, these articles are really well written, aren't they? Do we know who whether there's like one person at Frontier that writes Galnet, or
it's mostly Hannah? From the stuff that she's been saying before, she has a hold on like a lot of the real time stuff that goes out. I should imagine that it's a group that works on like the overall branching story arcs and how things would change depending on player interactivity, all of those little nuances.
Yeah.
But I believe that from one of the one of the interviews they've done with Hannah and Ben together, Hannah has said that she deals mostly with the Galnet articles.
It's great, isn't it? It's brilliant storytelling, and I was really struck. It suddenly occurred to me it's sort of gone full circle. I don't know if people remember 5 odd years ago when Galnet used to include sort of things from the community.
Yeah.
Give us little plugs for buckyball races and things, and obviously someone has to read that and approve it, and I guess it had to be translated, and it seemed quite, when Frontier said, I think it was one person at Frontier, and basically it was just too much work for them to do. And it's I find it interesting that we've gone full circle, and clearly someone at Frontier is now pretty much got a full-time job writing this stuff. I guess they just reprioritized it and decided this stuff's important and we need to throw resource at it. It's great. Keep at it, Frontier. We love it.
I remember. Sorry, Colin, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead, Psychic.
I was going to say, I remember like years ago being during the Galnet drought of whenever that was, around the time lots of people who didn't play Elite anymore signed a petition, that kind of thing. We had that big Galnet drought where we got no news, we got no anything that were coming. That was coming
CGs
through, no CGs,
like
nothing like that, and we had to make our own entertainment, and that nonsense happened. We did I remember people being in my streams and going, "Oh, I really miss Galnet," and me going, "Yeah, no, I'm not that bothered about it. I'm not. I can't really see it."
I remember you saying that.
If it comes back, I'm not that asked about it. I don't think it's gonna be exciting. And oh my god, how happily wrong have I been about that?
Yeah, it was funny. Before it was taken away, this guy Galnet was always seen as a kind of not that important kind of interaction. However, that drought happened. There was no Galnet. There was no Thargoid interdiction. Well, no Thargoid incursions, and there were there community goals? I can't remember them actually being community goals either. It was the closest Elite Dangerous has ever got to going full maintenance mode. And yeah, it was a tough time, to be honest, especially if you're doing a show based on the content that comes out in it. Not mentioning anybody there.
Yeah.
Well, on top of that, we will then move on because it is that time of the week again.
Store alert!
Well, does anybody out there like leaves, especially dead leaves? Well,
yes, I like autumn.
Yes, well, we now have 3 skins that reflects the season. We've got Autumn Amber, Autumn Garnet, and Autumn, oh goodness, Carnelian?
Yep, you're right.
Was I? Wow. Those, hey, listen to that. That's the first one I've tried first and got right worst. Carnelian skins for the Anaconda, Arsp, and Cobra. I must admit, I'm not that happy with. I'm not a fan of the amber ones, but I must admit, I do like the garnet ones. Anybody else?
Which one's the garnet one?
I just think they're beautiful.
The garnet one is the one on the Anaconda and
yeah, that's
pictures.
That's lovely. I like that.
Yeah. So
yeah, it'd be the ready one.
The ready one. That would be the Carnelian.
You know, the one with the autumnal colours. That one's really nice. I really like that one.
So yeah, they're available in the store at the moment.
Are these what are the new ones that they're giving away with the Twitch drops?
They're very similar but slightly different colours.
Okay.
Okay.
As per usual, they're like the same as before.
Is that like getting a golden asp with a next to it a gold asp?
And a goldish asp.
Yeah, looking very. They're looking very nice, actually. I am tempted with maybe one of them, but yeah. So I think moving on from the store alert, what we'll do is we will take our usual ad break and then come back with our main discussion topics.
Lave Radio, transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
We all know what it's like. You're busy managing your settlement when suddenly the alarms go off.
Oh no, not again.
That's right. A commander with a Federation naval rank of Admiral, an Imperial King no less, has landed in a ship worth over 100 million credits and is killing all your staff, while they look around for a 10 credit adhesive to glue an upgraded scope to their 100,000 credit assault rifle. They fly away with their super glue and you're left with a problem. How are you going to get your agricultural plant back up and running?
How am I going to get my plant up and running?
How are you going to find staff at short notice?
How am I going to find staff at short notice?
How are you going to deal with all those bodies?
There's bodies everywhere. And they've stained the carpet.
Wonder no longer. Call Aries Crime Scene Cleanup Services.
Hello, I'm Harry from Harry's Mine. After a sudden increase in robberies and murders by commanders since 3307, I've gained valuable expertise in cleaning up bodies, recruiting new staff and restocking stationary lockers. Now you can benefit from my experience by signing up to our Crime Scene Cleanup Service subscription plan.
That's right. For only a small monthly fee, when your settlement alarms are activated, our rapid response cleanup crew will be dispatched, along with our patented Cadaver Scoop 150. The Cadaver Scoop 150 can be mounted to surface reconnaissance vehicles and skimmers to make tidying up your settlement a breeze.
Wow, the bodies are gone.
Our recruitment team has potential new employees on standby across the galaxy, ready to fill your vacant roles in security, logistics, administration, processing, and more.
My plant's operational again. Thanks, Aries Crime Scenes Cleanup Services.
Aries Crime Scene Cleanup Services. We'll have your settlement as good as new before the next ship arrives. Cadaver Scoop 150 disposal bags sold separately.
Are you thinking of suing over missold Python protection insurance? Had an accident in an airlock or slipped in a space station cargo bay and thinking of suing for compensation? Well, don't.
I tried to take my ship commander to court for making fertiliser out of my crewmates. Legal fees have left me with nothing, and now I'm hungry. All the time.
At Watt & Brittany, we take small print very seriously. We have a massive team of lawyers just waiting to block your case and ramp up your legal costs.
I wanted a simple, no-win, no-fee arrangement. My case got blown out of the water by Watt & Brittany, and now I have to rent out my arse for hydrogen fuel.
At Watt & Brittany, we have a saying, if you don't want a beating, stay out of our court.
I was savaged by a wild creature whilst fixing a vending machine. Can't I claim compensation?
No, you can't, because we have a massive team of lawyers and you're just someone who works for a living. Watt & Brittany. Don't even think about it.
And welcome back. We do apologise for any bad taste when we're advertising for a cleanup service while members of our crew are actually involved in a whole lot of murdering, even as the advert was playing.
These guys, they've got bounties on them, therefore we're not the bad guys.
Well, that's what I told myself when I was doing base raids, because basically I was going through an agricultural base the other day, and then every single security locker was full of push. And I thought, this isn't an agricultural base, this is like a cannabis farm.
We know what agricultural things they're selling.
Yes. So all of a sudden, I went from guilt-ridden commander to righteous indignation drug smuggling killer. So I felt justified. I felt like RoboCop when he raids the drug den. So unfortunately, my Yes. Did I hear bacon roll involved with the cadaver?
I heard bacon rolls and
150?
cadavers. Yes.
Yeah. Is that? Are we talking kind of recycling in some way?
Chris?
It would be a way of getting the agricultural plant back up and running if you were to compost the disposal
It's not
bags.
Sweeney's Todd's agricultural plant.
Yeah, there was no talk of bacon in the advert. I can confirm there is no bacon in the advert.
Well, then both Ventura and Ben have got something on their mind at the moment. Oh dear, yes. Thanks, Mac Winston. Long pork has been mentioned. Oh, this has gone very dark very quickly. So, we've got two subjects to talk about today. Obviously, the main reason we have Commander Dwide on the podcast today is to talk a bit about his mini launcher, basically, effectively what it does, and how you can set it up to take advantage of its facilities. Now, the one thing that we should say about this, we'll prefix it before we go into it. This mini launcher is basically use at your own risk. If something goes wrong, then there's nothing that if you put in a support ticket, Frontier will probably say, well, were you using this? And if you say yes, then they'll probably shrug their shoulders and say, well, that one's a use at your own risk thing. So yeah, that's something to be aware of when we discuss this. So, Commander Dwide, welcome again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, and just to add on to that, there's a if you go to the GitHub page, there's an issues tab and a discussions tab. So if you do run into issues, don't open a support ticket with Frontier. Just do it on GitHub, and I can deal with the fallout of the poor code I've written.
So, just quickly take us through what the mini ED launcher does.
Yeah, so it was born out of long startup times with the vanilla launcher. I think it was extra slow. I'm a Linux user. That's my daily driver. I game on Linux, and I think it was extra slow on Linux. So I kind of just decided, well, this thing can't do too much. Maybe I can help myself out and build a skeleton of a project and get myself into the game faster. And from there, it turned into a somewhat featureful program. People found it. I made a single post about it on Reddit in case anyone wanted to make use of the code I'd written, and from there people would kind of create feature requests and that sort of thing. And it turned into, a decent-sized program.
But how long ago did you start actually writing this then?
I want to say it's been around for at least 2020, maybe right before the pandemic started. I started working on it.
Okay.
And then during the pandemic, I had plenty of time to hack away at it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm guessing you're a coder by day or something like that as well.
Yep. That's the day job.
Are you using the unofficial hack to get Elite Dangerous running on Linux then?
So it actually, I just play it through Steam.
Steam,
right. Has what's called Proton, and it's a compatibility layer that allows me to basically run any game, any Windows game I want, except for the ones that have anti-cheat.
Excellent.
I wanted to keep talking. Well, can we talk about game Odyssey and things like that on Linux? Because I'm interested in about that, things if we sort of segue into that. Is that okay, Colin?
Yeah, it's fine.
So, I mean, so have you actually been running Odyssey on Linux, and how are you finding that?
Actually, I haven't. I don't own Odyssey. I tested out Horizons 4.0,
right,
which is all the Odyssey game files. Just to see what sort of frame rate I got, but I haven't actually looked into it and
you've
played
not
much
taken
of
the
it.
jump
Yeah.
over to Odyssey, because I mean,
Right.
how do you? Because from what I understand about Proton, what's the differences between Proton and wine then?
It's essentially essentially a fork of wine with Valve's special touch on it. Just game specific tweaks to make things run well. That's how I imagine the Steam Deck has been in planning for a long time, and for them to get that to work, they had to make sure the games run right. So it's wine with little sugar on top.
Right, because it's something. Yeah, I would like to be a Linux person. I'd like to be anything but a Windows person, basically. But after realizing that my Mac or my Linux box was just spending 90% of its time booted into Windows, I kind of gave up the ghost. But I would love to do all of my gaming. I'd love to be able to run Linux as a daily driver for gaming.
Yeah, so for the most part, all games work really well. Sometimes there's a few tweaks you have to do. There's a site called protondb.com. You just look up your game in it. It's a community-driven site. What works for people, what works.
All things Linux.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of hard to make that jump. You stick with one OS, for however long. That's how you learn to use computers, and then I want to try something else, and it's quite a bit different. It takes a large amount of effort and just to stick it out and kind of just get used to something different, even if it all works perfect.
So, do you want to talk to us a little bit about the development then of Mini-D Launcher? So, obviously you did it as a way of the real Elite Launcher is basically it's a web page. Well, a series of web pages wrapped around links and some kind of updating system.
Yeah, exactly.
Guessing,
yeah, so it's got an embedded web browser in it.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that and loading up all that is what was taking. It's an extra layer of stuff I do not need to do when you're already pushing your system a little bit more than maybe you should have to. Yeah.
Exactly. And
hence your original impetus.
It uses a really old version of Internet Explorer as well. So.
Oh jeez.
It's an extra layer, like you said. And then on top of that, there's a few things to interact with the file system to make sure your game files are up to date and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But on my end, I actually, there were two reasons I started this. It was to make my life easier playing Elite, but I also wanted to learn a new programming language.
So what language is it written in then?
Yeah, so it's written in F#. That's a functional programming language, a part of the .NET ecosystem.
Okay.
The vanilla launcher is written in C#. So not way different than the vanilla launcher, but so I kind of killed two birds with one stone there. And that's also why any
F#, is that related to Fortran or is it something else?
No, it's completely different. It's actually based on a programming language called OCaml, which is pretty old, but
okay.
Yeah. So any F# developers out there listening to this, you look at the code and you might scream.
Shout out to them.
That's because it was all brand new to me at the time.
Yeah. As with all of these things, it's like, oh, please don't look at the code that I wrote ages ago.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I hear that. So so how did you learn about the calls that the Elite Dangerous launcher was making and things like that?
So it's basically just watching my own web traffic.
Right.
I kind of locked into
doing NetStat or something. Oh, not NetStat. No, what the hell?
That's a couple tools called like Wireshark and
Wireshark. That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah. So it doesn't make that many API calls, so it wasn't that difficult. I got relatively easy to kind of duplicate what they were doing there, and that plus just a lot of trial and error.
So I
You know,
mean, yeah.
like I said, it started out super basic just for my needs. Just Steam only. Didn't care about any game updates or anything like that, and I just wanted to get into the game quicker.
Yeah, and now obviously you're doing updates, for example, and things like that.
Yeah, with
it's
actually the
always-
help of the community.
Yeah.
There's different licenses for the game. There's a Frontier specific license. If you buy it through the Frontier store.
Yes.
And then after, I think it was like April 2019, maybe, if you buy it through Steam, it was a Steam only license. But before that, you bought it on Steam, you got a Frontier license and a Steam key. So actually the community kind of helped out with that, because I only have the Steam license. So I kind of provided maybe a little instruction on how to watch their own web traffic, and then were able to fill in any gaps that I had.
I know that. I'm sorry. I'm just getting sidetracked by chats coming in through our Discord, but it's nothing. So
I had a
I was
question
wondering.
then, if you were.
Yeah.
If you were. I'm just curious about. I mean, maybe I'm jumping the gun a bit, but about the ability to launch effectively Horizons 4.0, I suppose, or instance with Horizons 4.0. Was that a deliberate feature, or was that just a happy coincidence that it turned out that's what it did?
So that was a deliberate feature. I actually had no idea about it until someone created an issue saying, "Oh, it's actually the actual game client, Elite Dangerous 64.exe, supports launching Horizons 4.0 if you own Odyssey, if you just pass in this single parameter." And it turns out that parameter comes from an API call, FDev API. So they return. So basically, what happens is it makes a call to see what authorized purchases you have.
Yeah.
And it returns bits of information about that, including things like what directory the game files exist in, and the title that should show up in the launcher. And one of those is called server args. So when you make that call, it returns a JSON object, and it includes that season 2 argument. The code I had already written already handled that server args property piece of data. So it was actually really easy for me to add it in, because it was already being included by Frontier API call.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean it is, as we all suspected, very much a case of it's being deliberately left out of the standard Elite Dangerous launches for Odyssey.
Right. Yeah. So that when you go to add it in for the mini-D launcher, there's that additional products JSON blob you have to add into the config. That's like the actual response from an API call that you get.
That's the JSON object that you're passing in, basically.
Yeah. If they don't block it, if you're just a Horizons owner, that's what gets returned automatically. So it's basically just a copy paste type thing.
Yeah. Have you? You were talking about licensing, and I know obviously you're talking about this is stuff that I have licenses for, but have you had any feedback one way or the other about licensing in terms of service and things like that using Mini-D launcher, regardless of using it to bypass this whole Odyssey users can't use EDH4?
No, I haven't. I haven't actually heard of, got a response from anything about that.
Anything one way or the other from Frontier about it?
Right. For the whole 2 years or so.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything official from those guys.
So I mean, I guess there's another very important thing that I guess I have to ask. Obviously, is people are entering their usernames and passwords to Elite to your application. how are you
which can be
taking
scary,
care
right?
of our details?
Yeah,
And
so
how do we know that you're not collecting? Aha, Ben's user details is this, and so on.
exactly. So when you use the Frontier flag, that's saying I want to use my Frontier license to log in. So that's actually the only time you type in your username and password. If you're using Steam or Epic, it uses the clients themselves to create authentication tokens. So there's no username and password involved there.
Okay, so it's technically you're technically safer using Steam or Epic then, I guess.
Yeah, and it works the exact same for the vanilla launcher. So if it detects you're using Steam or Epic, it'll use the provided APIs for that. But if it detects you want to use a Frontier license, it'll ask for your username, ask for your password, and then what happens is on Windows, it uses what's a Windows API called DP API. I don't actually know what that stands for, but it's just a way to encrypt data on your machine. So you'll find in your app data folder, there's a .cred file, credential. And inside that, there's a few lines, which is machine token, your password, and I think your username. It's been a while since I looked at that, but all that stuff's encrypted on Windows the exact same way the vanilla launcher does it. And then on Linux, what it does is it doesn't encrypt it, but it sets it to user only, user read only. So it's only accessible to the user that created it and the root user. In which case, if someone gets root access to your machine, they can access whatever. Yeah. So then you have to trust that the binaries that I've provided are the same ones that are built from the code that you can read. So there's a little bit of trust there. You have to trust that I'm not doing something crazy with those, just like you have to trust that Frontier is handling your info properly.
Safely and securely, yeah.
And then the alternative to that is you can download the code and compile it yourself. Actually, instructions in the README for that, but I imagine that's a little too far for most users.
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, you've been running this quite happily for quite a while, and it's only recently, with the advent of Horizons 4 coming into being, that it's gained notoriety, I suppose is the way I would say it.
Yeah, exactly. I've never.
Yeah.
That's to say that there were links in the official forums, and GitHub provides super rudimentary analytics on how people arrive to your repository, and I could just see that there was a big spike in traffic from the.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a demand.
Yeah.
Why would you say that demand exists?
I have to imagine some people are just upset with how things were handled, whether it's the right way or the wrong way. People have their ideas and stick to them, and if they think someone should have done something one way, or there's a way to circumvent that, they're going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the benefit of running 3.8, for example. I can see the benefit for if I can see the benefit for a Odyssey user running 3.8 if their PC struggles with Odyssey, and I can see obviously why a Horizons user would want to run 3.8 again if their PC is struggling. Can any of you guys think why the thing I don't understand is why would a Horizons and an Odyssey user want to gather in Odyssey rather than Horizons?
So I know from my experience, I have a buddy that has Odyssey.
Yeah.
And I don't have it. So for us to instance together, he has to drop down to my 3.8 version. And he vastly prefers the graphics and the UI of Odyssey.
He's gotten used to the new UI, as it were.
Right, and at the time when we were playing together, I think there was an issue with keybinds getting reset when you went from Odyssey to Horizons or something like that. I don't remember what he was complaining about, but that was also a problem for him. So I have to imagine being able to instance together with people who prefer Odyssey. Now they can do that.
Yeah, you've given them the option. Alec, you're wanting to say something?
I was just going to say that I thought the main reason why. So if there's an Odyssey player and a Horizons player and they want to play together, like you said, they could play 3.8. I think the obvious reason that they would want to play in Horizons 4.0, I guess we haven't exactly seen specifics of this. I mean, but if they want to partake in some of the new story content together, I mean, I guess the CGs, that doesn't quite work because you can still, I'm assuming, run the latest CGs in 3.8. But if, for example, when these Stargoids show up, if there's non-Odyssey content that you can do in Horizons 4.0, that would be an example. Or if you just wanted to go to HIP 22460 and enjoy some aggressive Thargoid space combat together, then again, that's the sort of thing you can only do in Horizons 4.0. So that seems the obvious use case to me, is to, play with a Horizons player, but in the version of the game where the story is still being, carried forward.
Yeah, I mean, there is obviously a demand for this, which is, people want to play together with the new content. I do feel maybe Frontier might be better off using a bigger carrot instead of a stick to stop people doing that, to try and get people to buy into Odyssey. I mean, I'm hoping that the November update, everybody's just going to go, oh, that's fantastic. SOD 4.0, I want to upgrade to Odyssey.
I guess, but if they just want people to buy Odyssey, I almost don't understand why they released Horizons 4.0 at all. I mean,
to let people who have Horizons didn't know whether or not their PC would be able to run it, give them the opportunities to try and running some of there's a lot of new software on Planetary Tech and on just like driving around in a Scorpion, for example, in Horizons, or sorry, in Odyssey, that a Horizons player trying 4.0 would have access to.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, on the benchmark sort of thing of testing it, I've seen a lot of people say that actually what really stresses Odyssey is the on-foot stuff, which you can't do in Horizons 4.0.
You can't do in 4.0.
Yeah,
anyway.
so I don't know how valid a
Can you access the Odyssey bases in 4.0?
Settlements, you mean?
Yeah. Well, the places that Chris and I are going to shoot people. Can you? What happens if you go to them in 4.0?
Do you know? I don't know. I assume you can land at them. I assume you can get out in your shiny new Scorpion and drive around. Can you see people? Can you?
You wouldn't be able to see people or shoot people because that's the PEGI difference.
Yeah, you're right. So are they abandoned? Are
I imagine they were as abandoned as planetary bases are.
Yeah, because obviously, you go to a planet, you go to the Horizons planetary bases, and you've got some skimmers flying around, but nothing else, do you?
Yeah, of course. No, you're right. Interesting.
It'd be interesting to see what everybody, Horizons 4.0 players think of the way the points of interest on planets are created now, because that I must admit that UI and the UI. The new galaxy map and system map UIs, that does take a little bit of getting used to. But
Definitely
the thing
a learning process.
Yeah, the thing is that what I've found is that once I'm used to it, I've now got a problem going back to 3.8, which is a problem because when I want to play power play with other members of the community, that means I've got to drop down to 3.8, and it's relearning. I know it's only just a small UI, but it is a bit of a pain to sort of go, oh, I forgot it works in this way in this version and vice versa.
Yes, Colin?
I'm sorry. Ben, do you want to carry on?
I was going to say, you earned into something. Or are you earning into something, or are you?
No,
No?
I'm basically caught.
Okay, you're trapped.
Yes.
Fair enough. I mean, I have
one thing I wanted to add.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, yeah, I was going to say, you don't actually have to use the Mini-D launcher to launch Horizons 4.0 if you're an Odyssey owner. You can manually add Season 2 flag on your own if you were more comfortable with that. It's just a lot more cumbersome to do it that way. If you were to open up Windows Task Manager after Elite's running and just kind of view the details of the Elite Dangerous 64 process, you'll see how exactly Windows launched it. Well, you'll see the path to the executable, and then you'll see all the different flags that the vanilla launcher and my launcher adds to it in order to tell the client how to run properly. So it'll include things like the language culture you want to use, whether you're using VR mode, an authentication token, things like that. And one of those things is that server args things that I mentioned earlier. So if you just simply add the word Season 2 and relaunch, copy paste that, add Season 2 and relaunch the executable that way, you launch into Horizons 4.0.
Wow, that's fascinating. It never even occurred to me to look in Task Manager and just see the launch arguments. Huh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so that was one of the things I wanted to clarify when I posted on the Frontier forums. You don't have to use Mini-D launcher to do any of this. And you can still use Mini-D launcher and ignore the Horizons 4.0 stuff if you like the features that it provides.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, I learned about your thing because it was just like, okay, this is just a super crazy easy way for me to go off and create something in my taskbar that I can use to go into VR. And it's just so much easier, just like, okay, select, and it's like, okay, I want to select Ben's main commander, and I want to play Odyssey in VR. And I've just got a little icon now in my taskbar that allows me to go off and do that. Or if I want to play my alt in VR, I click on that one. And I find I have to admit, that's the main reason I've been using it. I've not worried about the whole EDH thing. I use it. I've been using it to get me whether I want to play VR or in Pancake Land, and I just find having a collection of, please go and launch this and go straight there and don't give a shit about anything else. So easy.
Yeah, and speaking to that, so there's additional flags you can run. So there's the auto run flag, which the vanilla launcher supports, auto quit, and then if you want to create a shortcut, say to launch, this is before Odyssey came out. Yeah. If you wanted to launch Horizons or the base game, you could use EDH or ED, or you can use EDA for
you could
Arena.
pass them as arguments into your shortcut.
Right, and when they released the Odyssey Alpha, they had a flag for EDO. And when the game was fully released, I think it was just a copy-paste error, and they changed it back to EDH. So it would confuse the launcher. If you had a shortcut with EDH, now there's two items it could pick from, Horizons and Odyssey, and it would just pick the first one. So EDH is now broken. And that's one of the things that is fixed in my launcher.
So hold on. So the current launcher's got problems going into Horizons? The real Frontier launcher, I mean.
Right, yeah. So if you use the EDH flag, so this actually goes back to that JSON response I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
One of those bits of data is called filter. And that's how the launcher knows which flag to use to automatically launch the game. and they accidentally put in EDH instead of EDO. So I actually created a bug report for it, and unfortunately, not enough people confirmed it, so it was closed.
Oh no, it's not okay.
I think it's going to be broken for a while.
You might have to share, and we'll, because that sounds like it's an issue to me.
Yeah, and it's funny. The Horizons 4.0, I think, also has a copy paste error. Their filter is ED, so now it's conflicting with the base ED flag. Yeah, so I don't know what was going on.
As long as it all works, I guess that's what counts, maybe.
And I have to imagine there aren't many people that use.
Yeah, I was going to say we'll take this offline, and I want you to maybe talk me through replicating this, because this sounds like it's actually a real issue, and if it is, then maybe we can use something for good and try to fix the launcher, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
One thing I noticed that you're doing updates as well.
So that's only if you're not using a Steam.
If you're using the Frontier launcher.
Right. Yeah. So I guess also for Horizons 4.0, they don't distribute that through Steam's or Epic's CDN, so you actually have to opt into that, which is the Force update setting in the Mini ED launcher.
All right.
And actually, I have a post about that in the discussions tab. I can throw that link in here too. How you actually enable all that, but
I've noticed you've got a flag in there for the number of threads in there. Now, I remember way back when we were doing the alpha, a friend of mine who was doing the alpha, the launcher back then was even slower and even worse than the current one. And it was really, really, really painfully slow. And I know he went off and basically did something that it was like, because Elite is basically distributed to us as a bunch of chunks.
Right.
Is that and you're saying, okay, get me chunk 1, get me chunk 2, get me chunk 3, spawn that up for the number of threads you've got. And Elite, the original launcher was maybe only doing it 1 or 2 threads at a time, and it was painful. And he went off and basically did a launcher that would go off and give us like 100 threads. And instead of it taking like 3-4 hours to download an update, it would get it done in under 10 minutes, which at the time was beautiful, but I also felt very aware of, are we screwing Frontier over with this?
Are we bombarding them with too much traffic?
Yeah, are we basically doing a denial of service attack here?
Right. Yeah, so that in particular, that determines how many files it'll try and download in parallel. And that, increasing that to some crazy value doesn't necessarily make things faster. It also depends on how fast your hard drive is. So if you still have Elite Dangerous installed on an actual spinning mechanical disk, a hard drive, you have to wait for the slowness of that, for files to be written to the slow hard disk.
Do people still use real hard drives? How cute.
Oh yeah. If you have it on SSD, it's not as big of a deal.
Right. Well, I think I think as soon as we started mentioning threads, I think I could hear people in the the non-technical people in the chat room begin to go, oh God, they're talking foreign languages. So I think we're going to wind this one up. His Discord's crashed as well, so hopefully he'll be back. Which is a bit of a pain.
I think I would like to do one wrap up in anything that we have said or done does not count as an endorsement. Despite the fact that I might have been using this for a while, I do not endorse this product. And if you happen to use it, then use it at your own risk.
Yeah. I mean, I must admit that it does have its advantage. I mean, I like this tool because basically I get really annoyed by the fact that when I use my normal launcher, it comes up and says, right, I'm putting you into VR mode when I don't want to be in VR mode. So obviously the /no VR is a blooming godsend. But yeah, again, it is one of these things which is a use at your own risk. So
Yeah, if you have issues, don't send them to Frontier. Send them to me.
I will also add, can I just add really quickly on the back end of this, just very, very, very quickly, that I have, like, during this conversation, obviously, as someone who is very, very particular about who we platform and what we platform and all of those sort of like forward facing things, you knew that while this was going on, I was obviously going to be reaching out to some people from Frontier, and I was just getting confirmation from them that just to confirm and double down that this is very, very much not an official thing and not supported by Frontier at all. They're aware of it, but they've got nothing to say on it at the matter.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, So I would like to thank Dwight for turning up. It's been fascinating. I always think that programming in Linux is a bit of a dark art, and yeah. So my hat is off to you, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for having me on here. I actually had no idea this sort of thing existed in the Elite community. Pretty cool, you guys do these things, however often you do them, every week or so.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. This
every
is
week for 9 years.
Yeah.
412, isn't it?
Yes, 400. Yeah.
9 years of my life gone.
I was thinking, that the game, has, awesome stuff and some stuff you wish it had, but I have to say that the community around Elite really provides a lot. I think it's pretty unique for all the games out there.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the most unique gaming experiences where you have organizations like the Fuel Rats and the Hull Seals and I don't think there's any other game that would generate people, generate communities like this game seems to.
No, Elite does have. It's got great community stuff. Always has.
Okay. Well, we are going to move on from there. We can actually finish off our discussion about the old ships in Elite Dangerous because there's not that many of them left. We managed to get all the way through to the Panther Clipper last week, and let's just say this way about the Panther Clipper: everybody wanted that one in. I wasn't just hearing things; everybody wanted that one in, didn't they?
Yes, quite apparently. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, but we never asked Ben. Ben, the one universal ship that everybody wanted was the Panther Clipper. What did you have any memories of it?
Oh no, because I still didn't play Frontier or Frontier First Encounters, although I am obviously aware of it.
Well, that was helpful. Right.
But, like you guys said in last week's show, my God, I have always wanted the Panther Clipper in. I want the game to support larger than DocMax ships, and I want the game to encourage ships without frameshift drives to deal with that kind of thing. So I am all for those little shuttles and things like that we were on about last week. Go on.
Right. Okay. Well, we've got about less than about 10, but we'll just see how this goes. It seems that we're sticking with the Clipper theme because one of the next ship that's on the list is the Puma Clipper. Now, the Puma Clipper, as I look up the stats on this, was basically a smaller version of the Panther Clipper. It's your stepping stone up to getting to it. Has anybody been able to look over the stats and see whether it appeals?
It's basically a Type 9.
Yes. I think that would probably be the equivalent.
If it's Type 9, then I would argue, what's the point?
That's fair enough.
Type 9. I've used one before. A Type 9.
No, that's what I mean. If it's a Type 9, why do we need another Type 9?
Bants. Top bants.
That'll do.
Actually, looking at what it can carry, it could probably carry twice what's in the Type 9. And yeah, so basically the Panther Clipper wouldn't be able to fit through the slot, but the Puma Clipper might. I don't know. It depends on whether or not. I mean, you guys didn't really want the boa in it before, so maybe I think the Type 9's enough. Well, moving on to the next one, we had the Seika Mark III. Now, this was the starting ship in Frontier First Encounters. Basically, when you started in Frontier, it was you started out in an Eagle, but this is a slightly bigger version of an Eagle, I think. But effectively, it was just meh as far as I was concerned. Has anybody else had a chance to look over this one?
I'm looking at the picture. Aesthetically, I like it.
Yeah, it kind of looks. It reminds me of a Trident fighter. There's an old TV show called Ulysses 41 or 31 or something, and basically they had enemy fighters that looked like that.
Yeah, I like that. They look like swept forward wings. I find that quite unless it's the other way around. I'm assuming the pointy bit's the front.
Yeah, that's the cockpit, the pointy bit at the front. It did have quite a nice animation because the engines at the back kind of rotated, which it looked cool, but you couldn't work out if there was anything fascinating about it. What about you, Psychic? Does this design appeal to you?
It's all right. It's all right. It's a bit bonkers, but it's all right. They're all a bit bonkers, though, aren't they? If they might look nice in a picture if it's changed.
Yeah. Well, if you think that's bonkers, you need to pop over and have a look at what the Skeet is. This thing here, basically, it's a blob.
Yeah, I don't even know what I'm looking at. Where's the front and where's the back?
Full disclosure.
Yeah.
I thought I clicked the ski sector, but I was looking at the ski.
Oh, you were looking at the ski. Yeah, no wonder you thought that it was. Yeah, this one is absolutely bonkers. Basically, just imagine it's kind of like a circle, but with a huge bridge at the top. But the thing is, that huge bridge, that kind of nut section, spins round. That's where the bridge is. So basically, you got the ship going forward, and it just spins round.
I thought that was a lid. I thought you could just unscrew the lid and tip all the people
Your
out.
cockpit just keeps rotating.
Yes, effectively. Just think of it like the rotating sections in Babylon 5.
Yes, but that's like the rotating sections in B5 make sense because they're going vertically and you're still on this. Unless you're flying up the way, this makes no sense. Because you're like, I'm facing forwards, now I'm facing to the side, now I'm facing backwards, even though we're flying that way.
All right, it flies itself. It's fine. It's not a problem. You don't even need to look where you're going. It's perfectly fine. This is my headcanon right now.
That's hilarious. It'd be like trying to drive the post office tower down Oxford Street.
That's exactly it.
While sitting in the rotating restaurant.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm looking at that and thinking, yes, okay, I like the rotating sections, but you're going the wrong way.
Yeah, it makes sense having the rotating section like that in the Imperial capital ship.
Yeah.
Because that's only for the guests and the passenger sections. The actual working gubbins of the ship are still in 0G. This is just weird.
You prefer the Rosinante way of creating gravity by just having everybody flying at 1G?
Or 1/3 of a G, but yeah. Sorry.
I know I wanted weird ships in the game, but I think that's a step too far, even for me, Skeet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just bizarre.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Spar. Now, the Spar just looks effectively like the Federal Fighter.
Oh, it's like an eagle. Okay.
No, you're right. It's the SLF. It's an SLF, isn't it?
It looks to me like a version of someone's managed to put a hyperdrive on the F-63. I don't think we need this. I think the F-63 is fine. What about you guys?
Yeah, we don't need another fighter that looks exactly the same as the previous fighter. I'm down for more fighters. I just want to clarify that point, but not one which looks exactly the same as the other one. Let's vary it up a little bit, eh?
Yeah. On the subject of varying it up a bit, there's a Tyracell? I can't even pronounce it properly. It is the only thing that it says about this in the description is it's the swan of the space lanes, brackets, a very elegant craft. And I look at it and I think that's about as elegant as the verruca on my foot.
Yeah.
No, if it was a Gutamaya Imperial ship that has been claimed to be the swan of the spaceways, I can understand it. But unfortunately, I don't think Gutamaya even looked at it. In fact, I'm trying to work out which way up it is. It's not a very flattering image.
No. Apparently, a Tearcell is the male hawk, especially peregrine or goshawk. There you go. Type of bird.
Oh, they're sticking with their bird things then, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I do have a place in my heart for luxury ships and things like that, and there is definitely a place for riding around with a I don't know, a hot tub and a swimming pool, and and things in your if you're looking for that kind of thing and so on. This ain't that though.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a hard pass from me. Don't know about anybody else.
I could if it were reimagined into something that didn't look like a pile of shit, I could live with that.
Yeah.
That pretty much goes for every single ship on this list. It was reimagined so it didn't look, a little bit boxy or a little funny, odd shape.
The Cobra is still a little
from a 1995 game or something.
Yeah. Hey, this was cutting edge graphics in 1995.
I believe it, Colin. I believe it.
Yeah, but the Cobra and ships of that ilk have made the transition very well into Elite without being drastically different to how they were portrayed even so far back as Elite 84.
Yeah, well, I mean that's
this is just weird.
Yeah. So yeah, let's leave that one alone and go on to the Tiger Trader. Now, I'm sorry. As soon as I've seen this, it's the T9.
Really? I thought Arsp Scout the minute I looked at the shape, but it's quite big, isn't it? It's big.
Yeah, it's basically this is the, judging by the mass size and the payload size, this is the Frontier First Encounters equivalent of the T9. Apparently, it has its own fan club. All these older gentlemen who take it out on a Sunday afternoon with driving gloves. Yeah, I don't think we need the Tiger Trader. I think we've got it's been superseded by the T9, in my opinion. Anybody else?
I like it.
You like it?
I don't know why. I just think it looks neat. I think it'd be fun reimagined in its fancy, fancy Elite Dangerous graphics. I don't know, would it be somewhere between maybe the Type 9 and
Type 7?
Type 7? Yeah, is that right?
Are you on about the legendary Type 8?
Could it be? Hold the fucking phone for a second, Colin. Holy shit. Yeah, it might be a bit fun. Why not?
Yeah, I guess looking at the disadvantages, they're saying its shields are right weak. So I guess if you did something like that maybe had sort of slightly less capacity than a Type 9, but had even shittier components and access to and only access to shittier components.
Yeah, you get the T7.
That could be the T8.
Yeah. So, hang on. Are you guys outvoting me here? Is that 2 for the Tiger Trader and me against? Wow.
I can, because the Type 9 is actually, okay, I'll do Grand Proud and say the Type 9 is actually not a bad ship. You can engineer, not even engineer, you can just normal stuff a Type 9 to be quite a capable vessel.
Oh, I love my Type 9.
Yeah. So if you have a ship that has the capacity of the Type 9, but there's nothing you can do and it'll still be shit. That could be the Type 8.
Yeah, you want a Type 8 to be basically, it can carry cargo and it can die, and that's all it can do.
Exactly. It can jump 3 light years if you're lucky, that kind of idea. Give it a size 1 cannon.
And you're not allowed turrets.
Well, I haven't got the room for... no, you can get turrets. Can you get size 1 turrets? Can't remember now.
Yeah, I think...
Yeah, you can get size 1 turrets. Otherwise, you couldn't get the mining laser turrets on the Sidewinder, could you?
Oh.
Right. Next, we're moving on to a favourite of yours, Ben. the transporter.
Yep.
This basically looks like a cheese wedge.
Which transporter are we talking about? Eagle, Griff, Iron Ass, Classic Frontier, or Oolite? There appear to be lots of different transporters.
Yeah, but they're all the same shape.
Ah, okay.
They're all the same shape. They're just interplanetary vessels, and that's it.
Yeah, I like the Griff. I remember Griff Industries from Oolite. Sorry, I'm just remembering things there.
Oh, man. That's the one thing that passed me by was Oolite.
I loved Oolite back in the day. It's a cheese wedge.
Yeah.
As I was saying earlier, give me a ship that doesn't have an FSD, and ideally, if I can have a couple of these essentially sticking out of my Panther Clipper, I'd be even happier. Not even in, don't bother. I don't want to take up the full room of a barge. Just dock the bloody things in. Oh, like the shuttles in Serenity, where they kind of stick out. You just have a couple of these glued to the side of the Panther Clipper. That's all you need. It'd be great.
Yeah. Well, next up. Well, what about everybody else? Sorry, the transporter psychic. What do you think?
Mate, you just put words into my mouth. I'm not bothered about this ship. We've seen other ships that are very similar. It's only interplanetary. It can get in the bin, as far as I'm concerned.
Ah, dear. Well, what is it? Do you swipe left or swipe right? I can't remember.
I can't remember. I've got no idea. I've been married for 10 years. How am I supposed to know these things? All of these apps were created post my being married. We had to rely on internet dating back in my day.
Hold on, guys, can I just say something? I've just been made elite.
What?
I've finally gotten to combat elite.
Oh, nice. Who did you shoot down?
Somebody in one of Chris Newell's bases. Was this third promotion? Yeah, third promotion to elite. I've finally reached combat elite.
So you're not triple elite?
Yes.
Well, congratulations.
You're only a year behind me. Well
now
done.
you've got to be now it's
Now I need to get 5th Dan or whatever the hell it is.
yeah, you need no. You need to be exobiologist elite, and you need to be mercenary elite. That one you should be able to do. I've seen you murder people.
Yeah, but
Yeah, and then you got to do CQC.
And then
elite.
CQC.
Nobody does CQC elite. Come on.
Some do.
There are 8 people, according to Inara, who are CQC elite. And I know one of them is Chig from Loose Screws.
That doesn't surprise me much. Yeah.
And then there's Musketeer as well. But yeah, I think he's elite 5 in CQC at the moment. It's unbelievable.
Ben, you know what you have to do now? Go and put on your triple elite decal.
Oh, I do, don't I? Yes.
You absolutely do.
Okay, I'll go and have a look at my triple elite decal.
There's only 3 ships left. Let's quickly run through them. There is the Worm.
I don't care what it does. I love
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes.
Effectively, this is what the escape capsule looks like. We actually had this in Amiga Elite. If you shot a ship too much, you see a worm being shot out from it, which was effectively their escape pod. You could then shoot that, and another escape pod would come out, and you could scoop that for slaves. But yeah.
Okay.
Now the next one, probably the only one to have seen this, is the Wolf Mark II. Now that was only available in Amiga Elite. It was that rare, nobody's even got a photograph for it. But all I'll say, it looked as if you took everything in the Arsp and shrunk it down.
I'm sorry?
You took everything in the oh god no.
And we now have our show title.
Well, hang on, I missed it. Take everything in the ass. Perfect, good to know. Hang on, wait a second. I'll make it Latin.
Okay, click that bit.
Well, Psychic taking everything in the asp as well.
In Latin.
In Latin.
Oh yeah, we've got to translate everything. Every rude double entendre has got to be translated into Latin. That's how we're doing it. Right, yes. Oh, according to Stephen Usher, the Wolf Mark II was available in the welcome stream for the game. So it was on the ST version and on the Amiga version. Yeah. So if you want to see a Wolf Mark II, that's what they look like. Shrunk up. They've got a couple of pointy bits at the front. And to tell you the truth, yeah, it flew almost exactly like the Asp. So I don't know, maybe if you want an Asp with a bit of variety, perhaps. Alex just posted a link to the Wolf Mark II in Oolite, which, yeah, that's it. And the final ship is the Wyvern, or the Wyvern, whichever way you should pronounce it. Oh, I'm not being told.
Were you waiting for me? Were you waiting for me? It's Wyvern.
Yes, I was waiting for you to basically go charge in there with your two
Wyvern.
wings.
Wyvern, the word that you're looking to pronounce. It's Wyvern. It's not Wyvern. Katie's telling me I'm wrong. I'm certain it's Wyvern.
I think I'd have said Wyvern.
Yeah, that's another vote for Wyvern for me.
Jesus Christ.
Interesting.
Oh no, it is Wyvern. Sorry, that's entirely my fault.
Well, hang on. If everyone has to take a drink, a shot, if I get it
even
wrong.
Google say it's Wyvern.
I'm trying to translate taking it up the Arsp into Italian.
Where did the R come in from?
I don't know.
Are we in for another Latin show title?
I don't know what's going on anymore. That ship sailed like an hour ago, mate.
Well, this is supposed to be another equivalent to the Arsp, and basically it was just basically a crap Arsp. So it's kind of like an Arsp Scout, really. Do we really need another Arsp Scout?
What I find unfortunate about the Alioth wiki quote is it talks about how the ship has fallen between two stools. And I rather feel like if you've already dropped two stools on the ground, and you probably don't want to drop this one in the middle.
Yeah. And the verdict on this one is no contender for the Arsp Explorer. It packs a few more tons, but is much, much slower. Avoid.
I like the look of it. I can't quite work out which way around it is, but it's got a very unusual shape.
The blue bit at the end that actually spins round, and that's its engine. So
okay, that's the back of it. I thought that was the front.
No, that is basically it's like a pyramid, but with a spinning engine at the back of it. So it's kind of like something out of Stargate.
Yeah,
Alec.
Seriously, actually, because we've had a few of these ships that have quite unusual design. You know, who can forget the ship with the giant ball on the back that was its engine? I wonder whether Frontier have slightly kind of, what's the word? Not crippled themselves exactly, but whether there's too much lore involved in how our engines in Elite Dangerous work, that it doesn't really leave room for these experimental things in terms of lore, because you're kind of, you know, it used to maybe not matter so much, but now if you dropped this, for example, in Elite Dangerous, had it coming out of the space station, people would be like, what kind of drive is that? And how, it's difficult, isn't it?
So we have turned into the carry on Elite Dangerous. This has turned into me.
What do you mean What do you mean turned into?
Ah dear. Right, we shall move on. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the in-depth examination, which has taken us 3 weeks to go through for all the old ships. It's certainly been a laugh, that's for sure. I don't know whether or not we'll actually see any new ships. We hope we will eventually, but right now, as we all know, that they're preparing for update 14. So, moving on from there, the community corner this week. Well, we've got sort of 4 items. We have this liner as produced by the Highwake. The Highwake has yet again come out with another fantastic animation showing why you do not argue with a beluga. That's all I'm saying on it. We won't spoil any more of it, but yeah. I'm going to
always great.
The Highwake is awesome as ever.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to put out the usual calls for the CQC Discord on a Tuesday. They have the plasma call out where between 6 at night and 8, you all do a team or a straightforward deathmatch just using plasma cannons. And of course, on Tactical Thursdays is Capture the Flag Night. If you want to know more about that, pop over to the CQC Discord, which we'll be giving the address to. The AXI are also doing their usual Finance Friday thing, especially since there is a anti-Thargoid CG happening at the moment. Pop over to their Discord and find out all the details. They're very, very helpful when it comes to squashing bugs. And finally, we have had a new HCS voice pack announced.
Do you know who it is? 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 You guys are going to be more excited because it's Ivanova.
Ivanova.
Yeah, her, she.
I
don't know how it's fucking pronounced. I don't watch Babylon 5.
Yes, Claudia Christensen, that's Commander Ivanova herself, and Snogger of one member of the crew, I do believe.
Oh, sorry, what was that, Colin?
Oh, nothing. You know me, Ben. Yes, she is now. But didn't that happen at Blackpool or something?
What?
Okay, I'm obviously getting confused with someone
No,
else.
what are you trying to say, Colin?
Plays in Blackpool, stays in Blackpool, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody said.
If you're trying to get at the story that I think you're trying to get at, and murdering, yes, I have met Claudia Christian, and
Mhm.
yes, I have, this is 18, 19-year-old me, and yes, 18, 19-year-old me did get a hug off of her.
Uh-huh.
I also shook Richard Biggs' hand, and I don't remember who it was. Her, I think it wasn't Veer. It wasn't Stephen First. Who else? It was at the Star Fury convention anyway, down in London, in the late 90s.
Well, the upshot of all this is basically our favourite lieutenant commander / commander
very
of
nice
Babylon
borders.
5. With
As she's, I am the great expanding Russian front or something like that. I can't remember. But
Yes.
I am watching, and I'm still watching Babylon 5. Still going for. I'm in the big first half of season 2 now, and it's the episode where they all go on diets.
Oh, that one's good.
Yes, that was quite funny, and it's also got some good lore in it as well. But the diet,
not a diet. It's not a diet. It's a
food plan. Yes.
Yeah. So Claudia Christensen will be doing a HCS voice pack. That is the one that I have been nagging for absolutely ages, and yes, that's practically a guaranteed sale from me. So we will move on to Mostly Clueless. Now we've got Little Big Yin. Little Big Yin has dropped this into our laps, which is so if you want to land on a planet. And when you use the thrusters to move down towards the planet, but it takes you past the happy to land bit, you can, instead of using the thrusters, you can toggle FA off, and it will generally just drop you down at 5 foot at a time. It makes for an easier descent. I've never done that before. I've never switched flight assist off when doing a drop like that. Alec?
I do it all the time.
So it's a great tip. I can totally vouch for that. I've been using that a lot. So on this ice ridge I was talking about at the start of the show, there's very few places to land. And yeah, if you use your thrusters, then you only have to be slightly tilted, left, right, forwards, or backwards. And your thrusters are taking you not just down, but slightly off course. Whereas if you take FA off, if you turn FA flight assist off, you're just going to drop vertically. So yeah, it's good. It's a good little tip.
Excellent. Well, thanks for that one, a Little Begin. Now we've got a little bit of any other business, which we'll quickly cover. Obviously, last week, No Man's Sky version 4.0 released. So I've done the usual thing, which is basically wipe all my existing saves and start all over from the beginning. And yep, really enjoying it again. I get to about 30 hours in, and then it just kind of loses it for me. But apart from that, yeah, Psychic.
Yeah, they've also got for anyone who is interested, they also have Twitch drops on this week from Thursday until Monday. They're doing Twitch drops for No Man's Sky, so anybody, like any streamer who has drops enabled on Twitch, you'll be able to get some drops on, and they're pretty substantial. It's normally like you watch for 3 hours and you get 5 different lots of stuff. It's more substantial than just like 30 minutes for 2 aspects explorer skins or something like that. It's a cool drop, and they're different every day.
Cool. Ben?
Just while we're talking about Amazon stuff, the second the second Middle Earth game, Shadow of whatever the hell the second one was, not
Shadow of Mordor.
No, Shadow of Mordor is the first one. There's a second one which I can't remember the name of.
Right.
But anyway, that's going for free on gaming.amazon.com as well at the moment. The full game of that's available on GOG, I believe it is.
Cool.
But you go onto the gaming.amazon.com and then you say, okay, can I have that please? And it gives you a free game on Good Old Games. And they have had the first Shadow Morgul as well, which I'm assuming this is all some kind of Amazon tie-in with the Rings of Power, which I'm thoroughly loving. But yeah, I just thought, while we're talking about that, more free stuff.
More free stuff. On the subject of stuff that's not free, Dual Universe has finally released. It does look as if the launch has been a bit buggy. Not Odyssey and No Man's Sky buggy, but it's still been a bit of an issue. It's one space game I've still got to investigate, so I'll be looking into that at some point in the near future. Anybody else had a look at Dual Universe? No.
I have it.
Oh, you've got it, have you?
I have it. When I was talking to, I've spoken to people who have recommended it to me. The last time I saw Tommy from Two Angry Gamers, he was like, "I think you would really enjoy Your Universe. We play it all the time, and it's really good fun." And I've seen Bognoga's playing it quite a bit as well. So he like both. Yeah, it looks like a really interesting game. I'm quite excited about it.
Yeah, and of course, it'd be hard to miss, but Star Citizen CitizenCon happened. I guess we could do an entire show on that, but I think we'll lightly skip over it.
I think several people have already done several shows on it.
Yes. You want a lot of angry content? Star Citizens, where you go. Wow.
I would disagree with the salt that you're implying there, but that's maybe I watch different streams than you do, Colin.
Yeah, normally I'm influenced by Massively Overpowered, which have gone from we want to see this work to, oh god, we're sick and tired of it now. Yeah, so I will try. I promise I will try Star Citizen again. I will. It's just I don't think it's high on my priority list at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. As Little Billion saying, any game you will find grumpy people in it. That is the way of gaming.
Very true.
And,
Very true.
As we were saying about having Tom earlier in the stream, is like, we want developers. God, why can't they play the game? But we want developers. But this developer promised us this. But we want developers. But if a developer says something and you hold them to it, we'll not give you more developers. But we want developers. But you're not playing the game. Make your fucking minds up, people.
Yeah, and it seems that a lot of people are getting angry about the No Man's Sky. According to Wintermute GP here, No Man's Sky has caused a lot of angry people with the new update. So, yeah, I don't think anybody can win.
No. You are damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Are there drops? We don't do drops. But then again,
I'll drop something for you if you really want.
Yeah, no, you don't want to drop from Ben.
You're gonna drop your new LP right now.
I'll just drop the mic.
Oh, thank God, that's all he's dropping. Right. Anyway, let's do some shout-outs. Our sister station, Mordor Radio, it broadcasts on a Thursday at 8:30. You can tune in at twitch.tv Hutton Orbital Truckers, or if you just want the audio, go to radio.forthemug.com. For the discerning commander that likes a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC. We're also giving shout-outs to the following Elite Dangerous podcasts. So hello to Flight Assist. I know you're on hiatus, but we hope to hear from you soon. Seriously. Guard Frequency, obviously, we mentioned them earlier. And of course, the good old loose screws over there in the States. So hi to you two guys over there. Now following this, we have the latest Galnet News Digest as provided by Commander Witherspoon and Commander Beetlejude. And we'd like to thank everybody who has chipped in on the Twitch chat. And how many in-game commanders have you, the Three Stooges, have to deal with?
There have been two other guys, and I can't remember the names. I'm sorry. I could.
Mark, Gameox, Ventura, and Marthrius.
Thanks, Norm. Yeah, I was.
Right.
Yes,
Them.
Well,
Okay.
apparently, Bethella is here somewhere.
Cool. Wave to him for me. And right. So special thanks go to Commander Tokuso, JN Trax, and Helen Stroud, who have created music for this show. So that is it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can email info@laveradio.com, hit us up at facebook.com/laveradio, tweet us at Lave Radio, and you can join our Discord server by going to discord.io/laveradio. We also have a TeamSpeak server where commanders like to hang out and chat. You can go you can find that at teamspeak.laveradio.com. Now, do get in touch if you've got any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 and streamed out at laveradio.com/live. So, good night to Ben.
Good night.
This every single time, I'm just half expecting someone to go tubby bye-byes. Honestly. Good night to Alec.
Thanks all. Have a great week.
Good night to Psychic.
Oh my god, 07 commanders.
And of course, special thanks, of course, go to Dwide for. I think, are you staying up late, or have you got up early to take part in the show?
That's about 3 in the afternoon for me. So
that's not too bad.
Skiving work.
So yeah, we really appreciate having you on, and it's always nice to talk Linux. And of course, special thanks goes to I think it's the Chris Mark IV today.
It is Chris Mark IV today, yes.
Good night.
Yeah, Chris stepped in at the last minute because Pindnik had a spot of real life.
Oh dear. Well, let's hope it gets better soon, Pindnik, and thanks for the alpaca, Chris.
You're welcome.
So until next time, commanders, fly safe. And if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this?
Sounds like someone having an orange inserted. You need a safe word.
Space can be lonely.
I'm gonna see the galaxy.
Ah, damn it. No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Galnet News Digest, 11th of October 3308. We read the news, so you don't have to. In this week's news, it's all about Thargoids, Stargoids, and Fire Gods. We round up what's happening and where. And with the promise of pre-engineered heatsinks for those fighting the Thargoids in Andikavi, we remind you that you can't trust promises made by Sirius.
All the news recently has been about Thargoids, or the influence of Thargoids. Even Princess Aisling's charity fish and wine supper was in aid of those who died fighting Thargoids in HIP 22460, and although we don't have any proof, we'd be amazed if the Stargoids didn't turn out to be some kind of Thargoid device or technology. It seems pretty certain that within the next month or so, something is going to happen to shake the galaxy up. And it's gonna be something Thargoid. So, what clues do we have about what this momentous change might be? Following the Proteus wave disaster, HIP 22460 has been run by a special sort of extra vicious Thargoids who can disable Guardian technology and who follow and attack any human pilot who dares to enter the system. There's an area of some tens of light years around that system where hyperdictions are not the normal checkpoint, but are immediately hostile.
There was a roar of triumph, of pain, or perhaps a summons, issued from HIP 22460 when the Thargoids gained their victory there. The one-time Project Seraph test subject D2, Xiao Jin Ai, brutally treated by Azimuth Biochemicals and now in the care of Professor Albert Tesreau of the Achenar Research Council, claims to know what the roar means, perhaps as a consequence of having been briefly wired into a Thargoid scout ship 5 years ago. Possibly not coincidentally, a number of gigantic flares, which may be an indication of something huge travelling through witch space, have in recent weeks started approaching the human core systems from the far side of Barnard's Loop. At the last count there were 5 of these flares, which have been nicknamed Stargoids because of their spiral shape, which seems to be made up of Thargoid green and Guardian blue.
And that takes us back to HIP 22460, because the Proteus wave involved using vast amounts of Guardian technology funneled through one of the Thargoid structures there. The Thargoid structures are believed by some to be face-planted giant spaceships. There were 2 pulses of energy from the Proteus wave device, the first one designed by Salvation to disable Thargoid ships, and the second that can only have come from some Thargoid intelligence that reversed the effect of the first, disabling human ships and bringing the Thargoid ones back to life. It seems that the Thargoids have learned to assimilate Guardian technology and subvert it for their own purposes.
And since the day the Proteus wave was fired, every active Thargoid structure has been capable of converting Guardian relics, the long blue crystalline prisms, into something different, a green version of the relic, known for now as an unclassified relic. Professor Palin and Ramtar value these unclassified relics highly, and will pay good money for them, but the key point must be that whatever message was sent out from HIP 22460, whatever communication there was with the Thargoid hive mind, all Thargoid structures across the galaxy simultaneously learned how to process Guardian relics. The Thargoid hive mind has been updated. Not all Thargoids behave like the HIP 22460 Thargoids. Some unusually benign invasions of Thargoids have been visiting human-inhabited systems, fighting back when attacked but not causing any damage to starports, and after a few weeks drifting away again. They don't seem overly concerned by our attempts to destroy them, and they certainly don't seem to have the anger that the HIP 22460 Thargoids have.
The reaction of humanity to new, more aggressive Thargoids, and to 5 giant flares making their way purposefully towards the bubble, is diverse and often extreme, while the majority, as the graffiti found in stations indicates, are afraid of what might happen. 2 groups are much more positive about the coming of the Thargoids. The Far-God cult, previously used as scapegoats when the Thargoids attacked, are convinced that the Stargoids are their deity, come to destroy humanity. Once again, They have been blamed for what the Thargoids are doing, especially in the Federation, where they've been accused of being spies and saboteurs. The majority of the new radicalised sect of Thargod worshippers, the True Chapter, seem to be in federal custody, but some of the Thargod cult has escaped the Federation and are living on the Penitent and Testament megaships in an unknown system.
The Thargoid Advocacy Project is a secular pro-Thargoid group. They believe that if we can only communicate with the Thargoids, we can end the cycle of violence and learn to live with our multi-limbed alien neighbours. The superpowers are at present not cooperating. Having broken up Aegis and having seen Salvation and Azimuth Biotech fail dramatically, they're all trying to develop independent anti-Xeno strategies, working on the divided we are stronger principle. The Alliance is leaning heavily on Sirius Corporation, which is failing to deliver anything much of use to assist the Alliance. The Empire has turned in on itself and is pursuing isolationist policies. The Federation is passing the time blaming the Far God cult for everything that's gone wrong.
Bizarrely, the two failed anti-Xeno organisations, Aegis and Azimuth, are both still on the scene. Aegis was disbanded, but Professor Tesreau wants to get it back together to bring the superpowers back to some form of cooperation. Azimuth Biotech remains in charge of Mbune and Titori and still has pretensions to becoming a force in the anti-Xeno industry once again. Aegis currently has custody of Xiao Jin Ai, and it may be what the former D2 can tell us about the Thargoid Roar and its consequences, together with Palin and Tar's research into the unclassified relics, that may prove the most interesting lines of inquiry as we wait for the Stargoids to come knocking.
Way back in April, Admiral Nicholas Glass of Sirius Corporation made a promise. He'd previously used pre-engineered heatsink modules as a bribe to keep Riort within the Alliance, when the Riort Mining Coalition, disgusted by the Prime Minister selling out to a mega-corporation, wanted to declare independence. But Sirius wanted to give something back. When they deployed 3 new megaships to defend the Alliance's colonies in the Coalsack and Witchhead nebulas, Admiral Glass, who is the Sirius representative on the Alliance Council of Admirals, promised that the pre-engineered heatsinks would be made available at these megaships for anyone to buy. That was on the 13th of April. The heatsinks were never made available, and that is why Admiral Glass is now, 6 months later, able to use them once again as a sweetener to get pilots fighting for the Sirius Alliance Coalition Operation Tindarius against the Thargoids who've temporarily taken up residence in the Andikavi system. Will Admiral Glass ever deliver on his promise to make these modules available for all? Can we even trust him to hand them out to those who've earned them in the anti-Xeno conflict zones? You'd be a fool to trust Sirius.
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News. We read the news so you don't have to.